Alright guys, so the Modern Warfare 2 campaign dropped a week early if you've pre-ordered the digital version of the game, and so I've completed that, and today we're going to talk about it. And so if you haven't watched some of my other Call of Duty campaign reviews, you can go ahead and go watch those. They're all on the channel: Modern Warfare 2019, Cold War, and Vanguard, and now obviously this. And so while those reviews, aside from Modern Warfare 2019, are relatively long, this is not going to be the case. I really don't have a lot to say here. Everything that I do have to say, I could say for every Call of Duty campaign. I'm going to be generalizing, comparing it to a lot of other Call of Duty games, and just summarizing my main points, especially the positive ones, because everything this game does right, pretty much every other Call of Duty does right, or at least in recent history. And so I want to start out with the positive. And so, what are the strong points of this campaign? Well, this game does something right and gives you a villain. And it's not to the scale of some of the older games, like with Makarov and Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner, Menendez, all of those types of characters. It's not to that level. This isn't somebody you're going to hate and want to kill throughout the game, and we are going to be talking spoilers in this video, so if you don't want it spoiled, go ahead and finish it or go watch it or whatever you're going to do, and then come back to the video. But the villain is good enough to the point where it gets you to where it needs to be, and I'm going to try to stay away from spoilers in the first couple of minutes, but they don't do what you think they're going to do. I'll just leave it at that for now. But as a direct sequel to Modern Warfare 2019, the gunplay is really well done. The level design, for the most part, we'll talk about the exceptions here in a minute, are really well done. All of the variety of weapons, the characters, the set pieces, the story, all of it's really well done. The game looks fantastic. It brings you from one location to the next. None of them are boring and repetitive. You're constantly in some desert in the Middle East or some country in the UK or over in America. You're all over the place. The locations are different enough to where they're fun but familiar, to where you're not going to feel like you're playing something that you're not used to. And that's kind of the theme here. If you liked Modern Warfare 2019, for the most part, aside from a few exceptions, you're gonna like this. Obviously turn off that damn filigrane because that looks awful, but other than that, the game looks great, it sounds great, all of the characters are voiced really well. There's a new lady, again, not getting too much into spoilers as to who she is, but a cartel leader female that does a good job. I think she probably has the best performance out of all of the people in the game, but that's just my personal opinion. And so the gunplay, like I've said, all of this stuff that you expect from a Call of Duty campaign, it's really high budget and high choreographed. It's great. All of the stuff you expect to be there, is the point I'm trying to get across. The problem with this campaign has the same problem Call of Duty's had for years. When they try to do something new and quote-unquote innovative, it fails, right? They're good at one thing, and that's high action, big set piece, Michael Bay type campaigns. When they try to do something different and new, for the most part, it doesn't work out. Example, Modern Warfare 2019, there's a mission where you have to guide the lady through the office because she has some key card using the cameras. They do that again here. It's just as boring here. The only exception is that they give you the option when guiding ghosts from one location to another to have him kill people, so at least you get some form of combat entertainment out of it, but it's still very boring. There's another mission where you have to hijack a convoy and you're driving cars, and the car mechanics don't work well. There are warzone controls, and the warzone controls for vehicles are shit, and you have to jump from one vehicle to the other, but if you don't jump the right way, you don't get magnetized to the vehicle and you just fall in the crack and die. There's another mission where you have to control the AC-130, and I love the AC-130 missions as much as the next guy, but Modern Warfare 3, the original Modern Warfare 3, that's the first one I played, so that's the reference I'm using. But even before that, and in all the other Call of Duty games, you control some type of airship. The way it is done, in at least the tasteful games, it is given to you as a tool. You're moving from point A to point B as the infantry, as whoever you're playing as, whether it's Price or Soap or in a Black Ops game or whatever it is, and you're using the AC-130 when you get bogged down by enemies to take them out. You use it for a minute or two, and then you go back to your infantry. That way it's not overly long and tedious. Well, here, it's like a fucking 45-minute mission where you use the AC-130. It's absurd, and they try to do the whole realism thing, which I love. It works really well sometimes, but they put the civilians so damn close to the hostiles that I failed the mission over and over and over and over again. It's the same thing on that car mission I just talked about. It's way too damn long. It's ridiculous. It's like a 30-45 minute mission. Now, all of the missions that are bad because they're new and trying to do something that isn't Call of Duty are overly long. The worst one being the stealth mission. Now, I've talked about this before. Call of Duty has its trope missions. The vehicle mission, the AC-130 mission, the underwater mission, the going loud, all explosive mission, the water mission, the stealth mission. And there's a stealth mission in this game. The stealth mission is the ghillie mission, where you have to time your shots with Price and do long-range shots and take out the warehouse. That's not what I'm talking about. The stealth mission I'm talking about is this one here, and we're far enough into the video where I'm going to talk about spoilers now. Right after Shepard and Graves betray you, you get injured and have to do this stealth mission where you're going through the town and you have absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not going to show you the bad parts of this level because there's no point. It's abysmally slow. You don't need to see it. But essentially, think of the level if you are old enough in Call of Duty Ghost, where you fall and get caught in the trees after your ship gets taken down and you're going through the forest with the pistol and the heartbeat sensor, right? Imagine playing that on veteran with no pistol and no heartbeat sensor, and the enemies have armor and shotguns. That's what this is like. All of the enemies have shotguns for some reason. Every single one. In the campaign, there's enemies with armor, which I don't think are too annoying. It's dumb. It ruins kind of the fun for me. We're just two-tapping enemies, but it is what it is. But on this mission, it's absolutely obnoxious. This is playing on regular, by the way. They two-shot you. If you're close enough, one-shot you. And like I said, you have nothing. You have to scavenge around the map, picking up duct tape and scraps and metal to make little shivs and bottles to sneak around. And it's the most obnoxious mission ever. I probably spent a good hour on this one mission. It's so bad. Call of Duty needs to stick to what they do. Their level in Modern Warfare 2019, where you play as Farah as a little girl, you're sneaking around and the guy gets in your house and you have to shank him in the knee or whatever. I thought that mission was obnoxious. No, this is much worse. If I ever play this game again, I will be skipping this mission. Now, I've talked about a lot of bad. These main 3-4 levels that are really bad. Your stealth mission, the truck mission, and the AC-1 mission is way too damn long. But other than that, it's a fine mission. But again, there's a lot of positives, but I don't feel like going over them because I've said them before, and they do the same things right that every Call of Duty game does. It looks really good, the gunplay is really good, but there is one mission in particular I really want to talk about.
Special forces, get down!
Get the fuck out of my house!
I'm not here to hurt you, I'm looking for someone. La verga, no nos pierdas de vista!
The man who came through here. Where is he?
Hey, hold it!
On the right.
Sanya!
Don't move. Hands up.
Hey! Don't fucking touch her!
Don't fucking move. Answer me.
Outside! He ran to the stash house!
Which one's the stash house?
Blue, 2-story. La verga. Watcher, send medical. Civilian down.
To me, this is the equivalent of Clean House in Modern Warfare 2019. Clean House is the mission where you went through and sweep the house with Price and all of them, and it was the one that everyone talked about, and the freaking IGN journalists were crying about how realistic it was. You could shoot the baby. That's the mission I'm talking about. And I think this might even be better than that mission, because in that mission, even the first time I played it, they do a couple of switcheroos where, like, the guy hides somewhere, or a woman grabs the gun, or a kid or something like that does something and hides in a closet or something like that, that isn't expected. You know, it's not exactly the first thing you think of when going into the room, but I saw it coming for the most part. I was never completely tricked by it. Here on this mission, there were really good instances where I wasn't sure what to do. There's this one time where you're playing and you've cleared the house and the wife's on the ground, you come in, but then you come back through and she has a gun, and it's great. and it's a great mission. And there's other great missions, don't get me wrong. The container mission is very good. There's a mission where you're swimming around in the water on some docks over in Amsterdam, and that's probably the best looking mission in the game. That mission's fantastic. But let me go ahead and talk about the final mission. And so, if this wasn't the final mission, it would be great. The ending to this game is super anticlimactic. You just kind of shoot the guy, and it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. Spoilers. Shepard really doesn't get resolved as a plot line. He's left alive, Ghost doesn't die, and for the most part, it follows Modern Warfare 2, the original, beat for beat. So I thought that's where it would be going, but it doesn't. But as a set piece, this last level is really well put together, and it looks great too. And so let me talk about the story the tiniest bit. It's essentially a carbon copy of Modern Warfare 2, just with a bit more detail. Here, Shepard is hiding something, you're investigating it throughout the story. As you get close, he betrays you. And instead of just it being this massive onslaught of a blind, faceless army, you have background, because you've done a couple missions with the people that Shepard uses to betray you. So it's a bit more intriguing there, and it's done a little bit better. But again, you don't get a resolution to the Shepard plotline. You don't get to kill him like in Modern Warfare 2. But that all being said, I think this relates a lot to your tolerance of Star Wars. So if you've watched Star Wars, which most people have, Episode 7 is a carbon copy of Episode 4. I mean, plot for plot, right? It's a big, round, planet machine, moon base that blows up planets, and, you know, Rey and Kylo Ren and Darth Vader and Luke, blah, blah. You get my point, right? It's a carbon copy. This does the same thing. If it pisses you off that it's a copy and it follows a lot of the same plot points, then you're not going to like that, and this game might piss you off. If you think there's enough different here that doesn't bother you, and you think they're just trying to, you know, pay homage to the original game, then you're going to be fine. Now, the final thing I want to touch on.
Makarov.
So I've tried to play the game and stay as incredibly unbiased as I can. But Modern Warfare 3 is the first one that I've played. It's one of my favorite Call of Duty games, and they tease Makarov at the end. Now, immediately, I think if you actually go watch the stream, I go 10 out of 10 as soon as they say that. But I can't do that. I critique the same thing with Avengers Endgame, to where just because there's a massive end fight at the end that's really well put together, doesn't, you know, make up for like a good 45 minutes in the beginning of the movie that just drags. So I have to keep that fair here, and honestly, I think the amount of hype that brings, combined with the broken levels that we talked about, the stealth mechanics, the overly long levels throughout the game, and just the mechanics that aren't really fit for a Call of Duty game, kind of balance each other out. And so this is solely for the campaign, not the multiplayer, not the co-op, not Warzone 2. I'm just talking about the campaign. And so this is essentially a third of your price. I'm not counting Warzone because it's a free-to-play game, so between the multiplayer, the co-op, and this is a third of your value. And at that next-gen price tag of $70, that comes out to roughly $25 once you throw in tax, right? So do you think that this is worth $25? And I do. This is quite good. It has some flaws, don't get me wrong. It has broken missions, long broken missions, long tedious missions, and just missions that aren't designed well for Call of Duty. Those are really the big negative takeaways. But aside from that, the set pieces are really good. It looks really good. The gunplay is really good. The characters are really good, especially the new ones. There's some, like I said, really cool new characters that I actually want to see return. Typically, the new characters I don't care about at all. I just want to see like Price and Gaz and Soap and Ghost. There's new characters like Alejandro that I actually really liked in this game. So looking back on my Modern Warfare 2019 review and how I feel about that now, and looking at my tier list where I have some of the games like Black Ops 1, 2, Modern Warfare 3, those are all 9, 10 out of 10 games. And so originally I was sitting at an 8 for this, but after playing through those missions and looking back at my ratings of those other games, I realized it isn't quite up to that level. So overall, I would give this game a 7 out of 10. It's above average, but it's not in that great level. It's good. It does what it needs to do. I feel like it's worth the value. It's not going to be Game of the Year contender, but it's good. It's up there. It's worth your money. But that's just the campaign. Obviously, in a week when the multiplayer comes out, we'll talk about that and see how that adds to the value overall. But you guys let me know what you think of this campaign down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.